Hello, this is Romanosky from Calgary, Canada, and this is another installment of my video series on managing your vehicle ownership life cycle. And in this video, I want to talk about what happens when your car is in a collision. The previous video that I did, we talked about safety of the vehicle and active and passive safety, and the active safety being the ability for the car to avoid the accident. But let's say you couldn't avoid the accident or somebody ran into you. And now you've got to get your car fixed. How do you navigate that process? How do you go through insurance? How do you pick the right body shop? What are the different things that you can look at? What happens when you have a problem? All of these can be a major source of frustration for people. Of course, any accident at best is a major inconvenience. And at worst, of course, somebody can be hurt. Okay, but leaving aside any topics about injury, let's just talk about the car and picking the right body shop. Okay, so unfortunately, body work is one of those things where there is the greatest variability of quality and poor work. And essentially, the reason I think behind that is that you can cover up things with shiny paint, and it's really difficult to tell unless you know what to look for. There is virtually no job that somebody couldn't figure out a way to do faster and cheaper. In the 20 years that I've been in the business, I've seen absolutely top quality work. And I've seen shocking workmanship as well. Now, the poor workmanship certainly is bad because of its negative effect on the vehicle's value. The vehicle might not operate the same and give you the same enjoyment. So those are major things in of themselves. But what's really serious about it is the vehicle might not have the same safety rating as it did before. With the nature of metal, once you bend it once, depending on what type of metal it is, it will have less strength than if you didn't bend it at all. Okay, particularly aluminum. If anything happens to aluminum, it loses all of its strength. And any quality body shop, any manufactured certified body shop will not repair aluminum, okay? They'll just replace aluminum, which can get difficult because it's hard to weld, okay? So you really have to look out for aluminum cars. There are the expertise and the tooling and so on that goes into fixing them is much greater than a steel car. But even with a steel car, at a certain point, the metal panel can bounce back and keep a memory and keep most of its strength. At another point, though, it's lost its strength. But you can still pound it out and paint it over and it'll still look the same. So collision repair is a bigger topic than I can do in one video, so I just wanted to touch on the major points of it. One is, like I said, the difficulty in fixing a car, yet retaining the strength of the metal and the integrity of the deformable structures, so that it is as safe after the collision as it was before. Okay, so that is a major one. Really difficult to identify that just by looking at the outside of the car, okay? Especially if it has a coat of filler and paint on it. So when we choose the body shop, what we're looking for is a shop that can maintain the structural integrity of the body shell of the car and the survival cell, by not cutting corners and using manufacturer techniques to repair sections, so that any piece of metal that is designed to absorb energy in an impact is replaced and not just straightened, including the fasteners, all the nuts and bolts and rivets and so forth, especially if it's aluminum vehicles. So that's one huge area, and that is very difficult to ascertain whether that job is done correctly by looking at the vehicle and once it's done. I mean, when you look at the vehicle, you can tell if the paint matches or not. If you've got a careful eye, you can look at the door gaps and the shut lines and so on and see if those are factory. factory gaps, but identifying what fasteners were used when they attached two panels together, or what pieces were replaced and what were just straightened and then painted would be almost impossible. Okay, so that is one area that needs careful consideration. And the short of it, for people that just wants the answer, is that it really comes down to trust, because there's probably no realistic way that you can verify that job was done correctly. And so what that comes down to is a level of trust between you and the owner and or managers of the body shop. Okay, so that is something that is worth cultivating a relationship there, where you have faith and trust in somebody to do the work properly. Because if you don't have that, there's virtually nothing you can do to verify the work. Okay, now navigating through the whole claims process with the insurance company can be very, very difficult and very frustrating. And here's the major reason why is that the insurance companies want to pay out as little as they can. Obviously, they employ adjusters, claims adjusters, and their job is to fix the vehicle and look after the client, but also mitigate their losses and pay as little as they can on the claims. So what happens then is that the insurance companies and the adjusters are really aggressive with the body shops. The body shop might say, well, it'll be 50 hours to do a certain job, and they might say, well, we only pay 30 for that job. The body shop might say, well, it's a $20,000 repair, and the insurance company says, well, we're only authorizing 12 for that. That puts the body shop in a difficult position. If they want the business, they have to figure out a way to do it for the 12,000, or do that job for 30 hours instead of 40 hours. Okay. And then what happens is then there are some body shops which will jump at the opportunity to get all of that insurance business. Okay. But that means that they're under a price constraint when it comes to fixing your vehicles. And this doesn't always work out that well. If the business owner, feels like they're losing money on a job, I think it's natural to expect that they're going to try to cut corners, and so that they make a profit on the job. And it leaves the really high-end auto body shops in a difficult position, where they have their customers and everybody wants to go to the certified body shop for their brand. And then their insurance company says, "Oh no, we've got an approved body shop." Trying to make it sound that this body shop is better than the other ones, when in fact it's usually the reverse of that. Okay, so poor work can manifest itself in the vehicle not being safe. As it was before, it can manifest itself in a mismatch of colors. The paint can flake off. Different metals might not be coated properly, which means they're more prone to corrosion. Panels on the interior might not be put back with all the right clips and so forth, giving rise to rattles. When we've got frame damage and suspension damage, the vehicle, instead of the time-consuming process of trying to figure out how to straighten various parts, you can just put shims in different suspension pieces, and there's innumerable ways you can fix a car cheaply. And I'm sorry to say that it happens a lot, and we see a lot of cars that are fixed poorly. I'm not really happy with the way the insurance companies try to muscle the body shops to do work on their budget, because I think that the customers get the short end of that. Okay, so that's one big topic, is how to negotiate with your insurance company to get the work done at the body shop that you want. Now, it's made somewhat easier by the fact that the manufacturers, who have a vested interest in their brand and keeping up the hard-earned safety ratings that they have on those cars, so that they will appoint certified body shops to fix their cars. And what that means is that those body shops are audited, and it's not an easy process to win a certification from a big manufacturer, and there will be a substantial investment in tools and training, they'll really have to, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, to be able to be certified. And then they're subject to periodic audits as well, where people come in and take a look at the facility and the repairs that they're doing. So obviously, those body shops will charge a higher amount, and obviously those body shops are the places you want to get your car fixed. Okay, and the insurance company might not want to do that, and so then you got a problem. And depending on how serious the accident, it may very well be worth, and I'm telling you it's worth it, to, in those situations, get some legal advice and sort of force the issue. Because in my experience, when you do that, you will eventually get what you want and get your car fixed properly as well. Okay. Another huge area that involves both the insurance and the collision repair center is the issue of diminished value of the car, and what happens to the value of the car when it's in a collision, and how much is the value of the car impacted for each, say, dollar that's spent on collision repair, and how you can mitigate that. Obviously, getting it fixed right is the main one, but also photographic evidence of the car before the accident, and invoices showing that only manufacturer new parts were put on it, etc., help a lot as well. Okay, so I will in the near future talk about safety more and break it down into the various areas, and collision repair more. And I'll try to give you photos and examples of bad work versus good work, and the kind of tooling and operations that are necessary to do quality work on premium cars, especially aluminum cars. Okay, but I hope that touches on some issues that might captivate your interest, and you might be interested in some of the more descriptive videos I have in the near future. Thank you very much. Lawrence Romanosky from Calgary, Canada.